السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. نصلي ونسلم على أفضل المبعوث للعالمين وأول المشفعين في يوم العرض والحساب الدين سيدنا ونبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. My topic is Aisha bint Abu Bakr الصديق رضي الله عنها. Quran Kareem describes the wives of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم as أمهات المؤمنين. بعد أن أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. النبي أولى بالمؤمنين من أنفسهم وأزواجه أمهاتهم. And among his wife, Sayyidah Aisha, she was the third wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and she was the daughter of best companion to the Prophet Abu Bakr Siddiq, and her mom was Umman Zainab, two of the best and trusted companion to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She was born in Mecca about 3 to 4 years after the prophethood of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and she spent her life in Mecca. And she's barely 9 years when she immigrated to Medina. And Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha contributed tremendously to the Islam during the life of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and after his prophet. She served the Muslim community for about more than 40 years after the death of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She narrated more than 2,200 hadiths. Major highlight of her seerah include that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shown her image to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for her marriage with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is in a hadith narrated by Sahih Bukhari, as narrated by Aisha radiallahu anha herself, who said, Allah Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to me, you were shown to me twice in my dream. Behold, a man or an angel was carrying you in a silken piece of clothes, and said to me, she is your wife, so uncover her. And behold, it was you. I would then say to myself, if this is from Allah, then it must happen. Aisha radiallahu anha herself narrated in another hadith that Allah Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam married me when I was 6 years old, and I was admitted to his house when I was 9 years old. This is by Sahih Muslim. And she radiallahu anha endured difficulties and with the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam during the spread of the message of Islam. At that time, during the revelation. Also, one of her role was basically supporting the Nabi, supported him during the difficult time, and she endured hunger and poverty with him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also, she endured a difficult time during what's known as Hadith al-Ifk, or when she was the subject of slander by hypocrites. Very briefly about this incident is that she was with the Muslim army when they left her behind. She was looking for her lost necklace. Later on, she was found by Safwan ibn al-Mu'attal, a companion, who found her and brought her to the next army station in the next morning of the army departure. That incident provided a ground for hypocrites to slander her. That incident, one of the major incidents that was caused stress to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to Sayyidah Aisha and her parents. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed her innocence in the Quran, in ayat revealed in Surah An-Nur, ayat 11 to 20, declaring her innocence of false imputation. Sayyidah Aisha herself was so grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that her innocence was revealed by Quranic verses that is recited, that will be recited until the day of judgment. Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha was very close to the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed her with so many blessings. As we mentioned, among these blessings is that she was shown in a Nabi dream as a future wife, and also the declaration of her innocence by Quranic verses as indicated in Surah An-Nur ayat 11 to 20. And she radiallahu anha was the daughter of a very loyal companion, Abu Bakr Siddiq. She gained knowledge. She also was known to be very brilliant and intelligent. Also, she endured a difficult time during what's known as Hadith al-Ifk, or when she was the subject of slander by hypocrites. Very briefly about this incident is that she was with the Muslim army when they left her behind. She was looking for her lost necklace. Later on, she was found by Safwan ibn al-Mu'attal, a companion who found her and brought her to the next army station in the next morning of the army departure. That incident provided a ground for hypocrites to slander her. That incident, one of the major incidents that was caused stress to the Prophet ﷺ, to Sayyidah Aisha and her parents. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed her innocence in the Quran, in ayat revealed in Surah An-Nur ayat 11 to 20, declaring her innocence of false imputation. Sayyidah Aisha herself was so grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that her innocence was revealed by Quranic verses that is recited, that will be recited until the day of judgment. Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha was very close to the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed her with so many blessings. As we mentioned, among these blessings is that she was shown in a Nabi dream as a future wife, and also the declaration of her innocence by Quranic verses as indicated in Surah An-Nur ayat 11 to 20. And she radiallahu anha was the daughter of a very loyal companion, Abu Bakr Siddiq. She gained knowledge. She also was known to be very brilliant and intelligent during her childhood. And she also known to have strong memory, all of which were enable her to narrate, to gain knowledge about Islam, as well as narration of many hadiths about the Sunnah of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She was very close to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam during the time of his death. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in her room, and also he was in her arms. She was to sacrifice herself for Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. بأبي وأمي أفديك يا رسول الله, indicating or showing how much close and supporting Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Another feature of her is that once the Nabi was asked, whom among people is the most beloved to you? Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Aisha, man ahabbu an-nas ilayk, قال عائشة. And then further asked about among men من الرجال. قال أبوها. And he indicated that من الرجال سيدنا أبو بكر الصديق رضي الله عنه. He didn't mention the name Abu Bakr Siddiq. However, he mentioned he related to her again as when he said Abuha. After the death of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she lived, or she served the Muslim community for about more than 40 years. When the Prophet died, she was about 20s, in her 20s. She served the Muslim community more than 40 years with her knowledge as well as with her a narration of hadiths about the Sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam during his life. She died in Medina and buried in Al-Baqi'. Also, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu led her janazah prayer. This is very brief highlight about her seerah, very intensive. However, for the sake of time, we just mentioned the highlight and the blessing of Allah on very special woman to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as well as to a model for the Muslims, Muslim women, in gaining knowledge as well as in serving Muslim community, as well as supporting the message of Islam in the community. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on her soul, as well as may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on all the companions that is mentioned, those who are mentioned in this narration. جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.